Tonight, both Israel and Hamas are blaming each other for the damage that continues to play out. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Terrence Friday. Day 11 of the war now taking one of its deadliest turns yet. It's not clear if the fired rocket has now hit the area, but Palestinian officials blame Israel. But Israel says that the rockets were fired by Islamic Jihad, a different organization that sometimes works with Hamas. And video from just a short time ago shows President Joe Biden boarding Air Force One headed to Israel. Biden will be meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and then he will travel to Jordan, where he's set to meet with King Abdullah, Egyptian President Sisi, and also Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas. So there is a lot to get into tonight as far as everything that we are seeing, the carnage and the damage there. Let's bring in Richard Goldberg, a senior advisor for the Foundation of Defenses and Democracies. Also, you've worked with the National Security Council. Thank you for joining us this evening. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having me.
We are glad to have you. As we're continuing to see everything that is happening there, it is just devastating to see how so many people are negatively impacted by all of this. What are you thinking are the next moves, especially as it concerns the U.S. and its involvement?
Well, obviously, all eyes now on the President of the United States, a rather historic visit into what is wartime Israel following the horrific massacre we all witnessed last week, and we continue to see the photos and the videos and the stories of survivors now emerging. And I think we're waiting to see what will the president say. Will he give unconditional support to Israel, our democratic ally, right as it's about to launch an invasion potentially to root out Hamas terror infrastructure? Will he hold Iran accountable? Will he call on other allies like Qatar and Turkey to close down their Hamas offices? So I think we'll see what he does. Obviously, scheduled to go to Jordan as well. I think visit up in the air right now after the misreporting on that hospital strike. So obviously, this is a tinderbox. The Middle East is always a tinderbox. Right now, already ablaze. But important for us to remember, this is the United States democracy going to stand with a fellow democracy under attack by terrorists.
That's right. And considering the president's visit, we also know that we're sending more military personnel over there. Do you think that's at all symbolic of the fact that the U.S. could be getting more involved?
Yeah, what I think we're seeing is that the intelligence picture from Iran is flashing red right now. That the Iranians are pushing Hezbollah, another terrorist organization in the north that's even more heavily armed, much more dangerous than Hamas, to get into the fight and open the northern front that Israel would have to deal with. And so, in order to prevent that northern front from opening, and who knows what else Iran might be planning, I think the president is sending additional forces to show deterrence, to show confidence and support for our ally. And you've heard his rhetoric saying, Iran, Hezbollah, don't think about it. Don't make this mistake. We're willing to back up our ally with military might, not likely with troops on the ground, but potentially with the missiles that those carrier strike groups are carrying.
Something we've been watching for as well is the possibility of a ground invasion, and we know that Hamas has intricate tunnels built under Gaza. How do you think some of that could come into play?
Listen, this is at top of mind, I think, for the Israeli Defense Force right now. They know they're walking into booby traps. They know they're walking into an extensive tunnel system. And they also know that it's possible that Iran could be waiting for them to enter Gaza, get bogged down in that ground invasion, and then unleash Hezbollah in the north for just an incredible amount of damage that they will be able to inflict. 100,000 precision-guided munitions that Iran has provided them up in the north. So this is very complicated, but in the end, Israel, because of that massacre, has a deterrence problem right now vis-a-vis its enemies. It has to restore deterrence. It can't just rely on the United States sending carrier strike groups. That's not sustainable. And so all eyes are on when this invasion will start, what Israel's planning, and how they will deter Iran and put Iran back on its heels rather than Iran being on the offensive.
Yeah, we know there are a lot of intricacies there. Are you surprised at all that that ground invasion has not started just yet?
I think a lot of people thought it was going to start. In the end, the Israelis don't have to go until they're ready to go. Obviously, there's a question of international support, and we know that there's media and the United Nations. They never have Israel's side, and so the longer you wait, more of that pressure can build from the Arab street, from the Arab countries and the United Nations. But in the end, from a military perspective, there's no urgency to go today or tomorrow. They should go when they are ready. If there's heavy rains, if there's intelligence gaps, if there's not a unified position on whether to deal with the northern threat first or the southern threat first, Israel should take its time, and we should give it the space and time to sort that out to make sure this is a successful military operation that actually results in the end of this Hamas terrorist organization.
As tensions continue to build and the president is there to visit and also other world leaders now speaking out, do you think any of that leadership and their involvement could have any kind of trajectory in what we're seeing happening here now and any peace in the future?
I think so. I think the president's strategy, and we saw Secretary Blinken doing this over the weekend, of meeting with Arab leaders and pressing them and saying, listen, Hamas is not the Arab world. Hamas is not the Palestinian world. This is an Iran-backed terror organization that pledges the destruction of Israel and the murder of Jews. That's their entire thesis and ideology. And so, to the extent that there can be steps taken to provide for the humanitarian relief, refugee assistance, et cetera, if Egypt can open that border on the south of Gaza, if some of the Arab countries are willing to step in and take care of the refugee flow, this is a big deal to be able to say, you don't have to be against the Palestinians in this conflict. We should be united against Hamas in this conflict. That's really the enemy here, terrorism. And so I do think world leaders speaking out and speaking with Arab leaders in those words can be very helpful to give Israel the space to do what is actually in the Arab world's interest, and that is take care of an Iran-backed terror organization.
All right, Richard Goldberg, a senior advisor for the Foundation for Defenses and Democracies. Again, we thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me.